For 3 decades, Maestro Vincent Castellano ruled the Philadelphia Orchestra like a sovereign king. Every note, every pause obeyed his will. His baton sliced the air with authority, shaping symphonies into living emotion. Critics hailed him as a genius. Musicians feared his wrath as much as they revered his brilliance. Yet in the solitude of his dressing room, Vincent's right hand trembled. The doctor's words echoed. Early Parkinson's disease. Refusing weakness, he vowed to hide it. Without him, surely, the orchestra would crumble. He rehearsed longer, gripped harder, masking every shake with fury. But cracks appeared. Missed cues, faltering tempos, strained faces. Whispers spread through the ranks. Donors questioned his vigor. Still, Vincent clung tighter to control, believing legacy meant never stepping aside. He would not yield. Not yet. For the maestro, surrender felt like death. But the music he once commanded now began slipping through trembling fingers. Maya Okonkwo, the assistant conductor, stood faithfully behind him. 15 years of shadowing brilliance without recognition. She studied every gesture, every interpretation, knowing the orchestra as intimately as he did. Yet Vincent rarely let her shine. "You're not ready," he'd say, dismissing her offers to lead. But Maya saw the tremor, the hesitation beneath his confident mask. In rehearsal, the violins faltered. Vincent's cue lagged. Silence followed, heavy and uncertain. Later she found him alone, hands shaking uncontrollably, baton slipping from his grip. His eyes pleaded for secrecy. "Just one more season," he whispered. "Cover for me." "They can't know torn between compassion and ambition," Maya agreed. She would conduct hidden behind the curtain, guiding the orchestra through his final tour. It was a dangerous lie, but one born from loyalty. As applause thundered for Vincent's false triumphs, Maya's heart ached, her brilliance buried beneath his fragile pride. Night after night, the deception deepened. Vincent stood on stage, smiling through ovations, while Maya, concealed backstage, conducted the unseen truth. The musicians followed her cues, uncertain and resentful of the charade. Some sensed the ruse. His motions no longer matched the music's pulse. Donors whispered, critics sharpened pens, and the orchestra's spirit fractured. Maya's dreams dimmed under the weight of Vincent's fear. She longed to lead openly, to share the music burning inside her. Yet each time she tried to speak, Vincent begged, "Not yet. Let me finish with dignity." His voice trembled more than his hands. The orchestra stumbled through once flawless symphonies. Trust dissolved measure by measure. Maya wondered if protecting his legacy meant destroying it. Behind every triumphant bow, she felt the burden of dishonesty grow heavier. The second chair, once her place of learning, had become a prison of silence and sacrifice. The musicians grew restless. Cellists exchanged uneasy glances. Percussionists missed cues. The harmony faltered under invisible leadership. "Something's off," murmured the concertmaster. Rehearsals turned tense, every measure weighed down by confusion. Maya adjusted tempos quietly, saving performances from collapse, but rumors spread. The maestro had lost his touch. Ticket sales dipped, and sponsors hesitated. During one disastrous concert, Vincent's baton froze mid-air, leaving the orchestra stranded in dissonance. Maya, from the shadows, rescued the ending, yet the applause felt hollow. Afterward, Vincent slumped in his chair, shame pooling in his eyes. "They're slipping away," he admitted. Maya urged him to rest, to share the truth, but pride held him captive. "Without me, they're nothing." She saw now that his brilliance had curdled into fear. Protecting him meant risking everything she'd worked for. But abandoning him felt like betrayal. The music, once their bond, now divided them. Hope arrived in an unexpected form. A young violinist named Elias, barely 20, a prodigy with autism whose gift astonished the orchestra. He played with pure emotion, each note shimmering like truth. But Elias needed connection. He watched the conductor's eyes, not the score, to find his rhythm. During rehearsal, he faltered, confused by Vincent's hollow gestures. "I can't play," he said softly. "The music isn't real." His words struck Maya like thunder. The lie had reached its limit. Still, Vincent pleaded, "He'll adjust." One more performance. But Elias refused, setting down his violin mid-piece. "I follow passion, not pretense." The orchestra fell silent. Maya saw in the boy's defiance the truth she'd buried. Music demands honesty. The facade was unraveling. For the first time, Vincent glimpsed his reflection. Not as savior, but as obstacle. The stage that once crowned him now echoed with doubt and unspoken reckoning.
Backstage, tempers flared. Musicians confronted Maya, demanding answers. "Who's really leading us?" one asked. She hesitated, torn between promise and integrity. Vincent intervened, his voice weak but commanding. "It's me," he insisted, yet his trembling betrayed him. The truth hovered, fragile as silence before a downbeat. That night, alone in the empty hall, Maya placed her hand on the podium, imagining leading, openly, honestly. Vincent joined her, eyes weary. "I wanted to leave a masterpiece behind," he confessed. "Instead, I've built a lie." Maya urged him to face reality, that true legacy wasn't control, but courage. The next concert loomed, his farewell. He considered stepping aside, but feared the void. "Without the baton, who am I?" he whispered. Maya's answer was gentle. "A man who loved music enough to let it live." For the first time, Vincent felt both loss and liberation stirring within. The farewell concert approached like destiny. Posters proclaimed Vincent's grand finale. The hall sold out, unaware of the storm beneath. Maya rehearsed secretly, preparing every phrase, knowing it might be her moment or her ruin. Vincent watched her conduct, seeing in her movements the fire he once wielded. Pride and sorrow warred within him. That evening, before the performance, he addressed the orchestra privately. "You deserve truth," he said, voice unsteady. "Tonight, you'll play for the real conductor." Gasps rippled. Maya tried to stop him, but he lifted a trembling hand. "The music belongs to those who can still guide it." With tears glinting, he handed her the baton. The hall lights dimmed. For the first time, Vincent took a seat among the audience, heart pounding, not as leader but listener. The stage he once ruled now awaited a new hand, a new beginning. As the orchestra began, Maya stood tall beneath the lights. Her baton moved with grace, firm, fluid, alive. The musicians followed eagerly, their trust rekindled. The sound soared, rich, fearless, true. In the audience, Vincent trembled not from illness, but awe. Freed from command, he felt the music envelop him like never before. Every crescendo spoke of letting go. Every diminuendo whispered release. Elias, the prodigy, played with radiant joy, eyes fixed on Maya's passion. The audience, unaware of the journey behind the notes, felt something profound, transformation woven through melody. Vincent's eyes filled with tears. This was his legacy, not domination, but empowerment. As the final chord faded, silence bloomed. Then thunderous applause erupted. Maya bowed deeply, and Vincent rose, applauding her, tears shining, pride humbled into peace. In surrender, he discovered his truest role, witness to beauty born beyond his grasp. News spread swiftly. The maestro had stepped aside with grace, naming his successor in the most breathtaking performance of the season. Critics hailed Maya's debut as transcendent, bold yet tender, infused with soul. Donations surged, morale soared, and the orchestra found renewed purpose. Vincent, relieved of burden, spent mornings mentoring young musicians, evenings attending concerts as a patron of sound. He learned joy in silence, fulfillment in others' triumphs. Maya visited often, seeking guidance, offering gratitude. Together, they laughed about the past, the secrecy, the folly, the fear. "You taught me to lead," she said. "No," Vincent replied. "You taught me to let go." The hall where ego once echoed now rang with harmony born of humility. For both, the music lived freer than ever, untethered from pride, anchored in truth. Legacy, Vincent realized, was not immortality, but continuity through courageous hearts. Months later, a new season opened under Maya's baton. The program honored Vincent's career, yet celebrated fresh vision. She stood confidently, not as shadow, but as star. Every motion echoing lessons learned through struggle and compassion. In the front row, Vincent smiled, hands still, heart steady. When the final note faded, Maya turned, lifting the baton toward him, a silent tribute. The audience followed her gaze, rising in applause for both teacher and heir. Vincent felt no loss, only gratitude. His greatest composition had not been a symphony, but a successor. As the lights dimmed, he whispered to himself, "True leadership isn't holding the stage. It's knowing when to yield it." The music swelled again in his memory, vibrant, eternal. In stepping aside, he had created something lasting, an orchestra reborn, a legacy renewed, and a life lesson written in melody. Beauty blooms when ego bows.